Okay, great. We are ready to get started here. Thank you so much for joining media. We are live now on the LA Sparks Twitter. So for those tuning in on social media, welcome. The Sparks are extremely excited to welcome back and re-sign Nneka Ogwumike. And we'll jump right into questions today. We'll start with Sabrina Merchant with SB Nation.
Hey Nneka, congrats on the new deal. Happy to have you back with Sparks. I'm curious, you talked a lot last year about how the stress of the bubble, I guess, sort of weighed on your performance on the court and just all of the extra things that you had to do off the court. I'm just wondering how you feel physically and what sort of shape you're in heading into this season and what this second off season of not playing overseas has been like.
Thanks for asking. I feel great, actually. And before I get into it, I want to thank everybody on the call. I'm all about empowering women, and to have media consistently cover us is great. And hopefully I look forward to, whether it's in the near future or later down the line, seeing everyone in the locker room post games again. But yeah, thanks, Sabrina. I feel great. I've been working out, I don't want to say heavily, but intensely this off season. I think that everybody needed rest after last year, not just the bubble, but last year. And I took full advantage of that. And I feel really good now. I've been working with a strength coach that I've had since college, and she keeps me on my toes, and a team of people really that really cater to my my physical needs and also enhance my performance. So I feel really good. Although going overseas wasn't a thing for me this year, and even last year, it wasn't by design. I was supposed to go to China, of course, when the pandemic broke out. So it's been interesting playing 2 years in a row without going overseas, without necessarily planning for it. But I figured out my way. I figured out a routine that works for me, and I feel really good.
Thanks, Sabrina. We'll go to David Yapkowitz with the next.
Hey, Nneka. First of all, welcome back.
Thanks.
Shanae was mentioning just a couple days ago about how, there was people are making a lot about, who left, who you don't have, instead of, who you do have and who's still there. And, the way I see it, between you and her and then Amanda coming in there, that looks like, still a top front court rotation in the league. Shanae's always been a solid inside player. Amanda can stretch the floor, and then you being versatile and can do either. Just how do you see, at least for the three of you there, how you can all fit together like that and stack up against, some of the other front courts in the league?
Yeah, sure. No, I appreciate that. I think you're right. This is what free agency is about, right? There's movement, and then there's stories about the movement. And in a lot of ways, when people re-sign, it's not necessarily as big as people who bounce, but at the end of the day, everyone makes decisions for themselves. So you have to respect that. And we made the decision to stay here, and we made decisions that brought new people here. And I think certainly paying attention to that is going to be key, because at the end of the day, you're going to cover who's playing on the Sparks. And as far as, matching up with the front court, I'm very excited. I have experience, obviously, playing with Shanae for a long time. And she's coming off of, kind of refurbishing herself in a lot of ways. And quite frankly, a major career that's kept her in tune with what's going on. And to have someone complement our front court as well, as in Amanda Zawabi. I don't have to tell everybody that she dropped almost 40 on us. And I feel as though that it's really great to hear that type of news, that someone who dropped 40 on you is going to now come to your team. So I'm really excited about playing with Amanda, and we have, Christine, and we have a lot of tweeners that I believe can really kind of expand how we play, much more to the style of what Fish has been trying to do. So I look forward to it. I'm certainly the veteran. And quite frankly, too, it's not just about the front court. We have we have Christy, you know, and we have Simone, and we have plenty of veterans that are not just going to contribute to what we got everywhere, because at the end of the day, it's front and back court and the remaining people on the bench. But you know, we have a cohesiveness that we're looking to build. We've kind of, you know, obviously changed our physiology, and so now it's time to get to work and really get going. But I look forward to playing in the front court. I don't consider it a new role. Nneka always brings Nneka, and I look forward to having partners in crime, both new and familiar, in the front court.
Thanks, David. Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, Nneka, I'll echo everyone else. Welcome back. Yeah, so as I understand it, that you obviously had the court designation, but you were able and encouraged to kind of go and meet with other teams. I mean, how did that happen? Did you ask for that permission? Did you know, first of all, like, how did that happen? Then how did those meetings go, and what made you want to come back?
Well, you know, like when it comes to contracts, you know, we have this extensive experience with the CBA we just signed. You know, there's two sides to everything, and then you got to kind of come in the middle. So it wasn't as though the Sparks were, you know, kind of fielding this core necessarily in conversation to me. And it wasn't that I was also kind of, you know, strategizing, talking to other teams. I think we both came from the perspective of, you know, this is free agency and this is what it's all about. And so I guess you could say that we kind of met at the same time in the middle. And I told Fish, I really wanted to honor the process. And through that, it's not as though I was necessarily encouraged, but I was supported through that, you know. And I think that was especially so because we have a coach who gets it. You know, he gets what free agency is about. You know, it's certainly something that he's very familiar with. And with the changes in our league and the CBA leading to all of this movement, and that kind of intersecting with this moment of free agency in my life, I really wanted to honor that process and to be able to have conversations with other teams to ensure that, you know, that I really took into consideration my options, but most important, you know, that I had a good relationship with the Sparks as I did it. And so that's kind of how it happened. And I was transparent. Fish was transparent. Eric was transparent. And I feel as though that's not very popular in the business of sports, but that's how I wanted to approach it. And I'm happy that I did.
Thanks, Miriam. We'll go to Chris Camello with Nightcast Media.
Hey, Nneka, welcome back. Glad everything got sorted out for you. And Chris Camello here from Nightcast Media. I guess my question is, how do you feel about essentially, excuse the term, being handed the keys to the car, essentially, as far as the leadership goes? Obviously, you've been playing with Candace for a long time, Chelsea Gray as well. But with their departures, do you kind of feel like it's on you now to do the heavy burden of leading?
I don't think leading is a heavy burden. I think that it's something that I try my best to do through example. As far as, you know, being handed the keys to the car, you know, there's times when I felt like with the Sparks that I was the designated driver. And so I'm very familiar with, you know, being behind the wheel. Of course, you know, it's been a role that's been different for each person in my time here. And I anticipate that that's what it's going to continue to be. I'm not the only one here. I'm not the only one on the team. But I now am officially the longest person that's been on the Sparks. And so that holds a lot of history, a lot of legacy, a lot of growth. And all I want to do is contribute to championship culture that we're looking to cultivate. Not really looking to cultivate, but looking to sustain. And I step up to the challenge, I step up to the task. And I know that I'm not doing it not only alone, but also with a support group and also leaders in their own right that will really contribute to the vision that we see for ourselves. So I love driving.
Thanks, Chris. We'll go to Amanda Skrillock with the LA Sentinel.
Hi, Nneka, welcome back. I think my question is, like, what does it mean to you that Simone Augustus is coming back for another year? I know you guys were like roommates during your time in the bubble. What does that mean to you, and what type of impact do you hope that she'll bring to the team?
Well, I think it was already major news when she kind of catalyzed this movement last year. It was major news when she decided to continue her career with us, and I think that as word goes around, as players in this league, there's certain teammates that you want to play with, and she's at the top of the list, and I look forward to not just her bringing exactly what she brought last year in leadership, but also in productivity. I think last year she played out of position, as her career has kind of shown, and she stepped up to it. She was definitely a team player. She knows she knows where she's been. She knows where she's at, and I think everyone just is grateful for whatever she can bring. So I'm really excited to have her back as a leader, both on and off the court, but most especially, I'm happy for her to be able to play in Los Angeles, hopefully. So that's still to be determined, but if that's the case, I'm excited for her to be able to play in the city.
Thanks, Amanda. I'll go over to Howard Megdal with the New York Times.
Nneka, great to chat with you always. I want to talk, if we could, about Chiney's 2021 and beyond. And, there's a lot of conversation about, obviously, what she does off the court, but this is also a multi-time All-Star and a former #1 overall pick. I'm wondering, when you sort of look at what her trajectory is as a player, one, how you see it coming along, and two, how you think you can help her reach that ceiling by being right with her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Chiney is, she's acrobatic in a lot of ways. She juggles so much, and she pours her whole self into it. And I think you make an excellent point. She's basically a household name off the court, as it pertains to her second job. But I really just want to contribute to her enjoying being on the court, her having fun. And when she's in that space of just enjoying the game, that's when Chiney's playing the best, and I hope that I can really kind of run it back from our Stanford days. And I look forward to milestones with my sister that maybe have never been done before. So I'm excited about that. And I also know that she's going to step up to the challenge. She has this loyalty to family that brings a beast out of her, and I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks, Howard. We'll go to Pavy with H&B Media.
Hey, Nneka. First off, welcome back. And also, you mentioned this roster kind of being a better implication of what Coach Fisher is trying to do. First off, can you speak to what exactly that is offensively and defensively, and how much does this play style kind of excite you, and how much was that a factor into you coming back and joining the Sparks?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say a better roster. I would just say that I can see what he's trying to do with, the style of play that he wants us to play, the types of players that he wants us to be. And he's very much all about, everyone contributing. He doesn't have the traditional sense of post stay inside, guard stay outside. And that's incredibly reflective in our practices. And I'm glad that I have a couple years under my belt, as I obviously continue to kind of, make it along my own career and be better as a player. And I lean heavily on his 5 rings, as I hope everyone does. He has that knowledge, not just as a coach, but as a player, to understand what it takes for the entire group to work like a machine. And that's certainly what he's all about. And it really does excite me. It excites me because it challenges me to be better. And I look forward to getting better on an individual basis, and of course, hopefully helping the team to get as many rings as he has. So
Thanks, Pavy. We'll go to John W. Davis with Winsider.
Hey, Nneka, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So I want to ask you a similar question that I asked Simone and your sister, Janae.
Okay.
And I've asked them this, and it's not my opinion, but I'm just asking it because I think it's important. So, at the start of the 2021 season, there are going to be some people projecting the Sparks to probably be in the bottom 4 of the power rankings and not even making the playoffs in 2021. So, with your knowledge of all of the movement across the league and knowing who's on what teams and knowing what your team is, what's your personal opinion and professional opinion of that? If you could give me a little bit of analysis.
Yeah. I probably won't give you much of an analysis. There's really 3 points on this. As media, it's your job to ask that type of question, and projections are a thing for media. And maybe it adds an element of competition for people to be right at the end. Secondly, externally, there's 11 other teams, and I think more than ever, this has been the most competitive league we've seen in terms of team composition. So no game is going to be easy. And then internally, that's just something that people got to figure out, because we know what we believe, we know who we have, and that's what we're focusing on. I've never focused on projections. I mean, I didn't even care to think that I was going to get drafted number 1 in 2012. So I certainly haven't grown into someone who's focused on projections since then. I keep it in the family, and that's really what it is. I don't mean to sound so terse, but I really actually don't have an opinion on projections and comments and people's opinions like that. I just focus on what I know I can do and how I can impact my team.
Thanks, John. We'll go to Brady Klopfer with SB Nation.
Hey, Nneka, congrats on the contract. If I can ask you a question, a little bit of off the court stuff, with everything that you fought for with the union, with the CBA to make it a more equitable agreement for the players, and everything that you and everyone in the league fought for in terms of social justice last season and in prior seasons, what does it mean for you to watch the situation unfold with the Dream and essentially have Renee Montgomery replacing Kelly Loeffler?
I think that as much of what we do off the court, as much as what we do isn't planned, it's amazing to see how it all unfolds. And I'd have to say that first and foremost, it is great to have owners that are interested in representing us as players, as citizens, and for our fans and greater communities. That's really great. And I think that above all else, we have our sisters of the Atlanta Dream. We have their back, and it was incredibly important for us to be there for them and do what we could to support them. Now, it's out of our hands as far as ownership goes, but clearly Renee Montgomery decided that it was in her hands to do that. So I think that it's reflective of the impact that we want to have on our league. We love this league. We have players whose backs we stand on, and we want to move forward in a way that changes things for those who come after us. And it's great to see that players are still very much involved and just impassioned by where they see this league going.
Thank you, Brady. I'll go over to Megan Hines with the Swab Report.
Hi, Nneka, congratulations. I just wanted to ask, in your own journey of being an advocate and fighting for social justice, what have you learned about yourself in your own journey in doing that? And also, how was your conversation with Alicia Garza from Black Lives Matter? And what did you take from that as well?
Yeah, I have learned a lot about myself. I guess the biggest thing that I've learned is that you can never stop learning. There's always an experience or a perspective that is available to you to contribute to your own expansion. So that's something that I really try to practice, especially as my role as president, really listening to players on an individual level to be able to just make things better and sustainable. As far as my conversation with Alicia Garza, that was amazing. I had so much fun talking to her. I'm not gonna lie, I actually called my sister after the live, and I told her that I hope that I can be just friends with her because she just gives such a great energy. And I also love her perspective because she shares a similar idea in that, or philosophy in that, she doesn't like to be called an activist, or she doesn't see herself as one. She sees herself as an organizer. And I say that a lot. I always say that I don't prefer the word activism. And I'm glad you used the word advocacy, because that's certainly more along the route of which I try to be. And if I'm being frank, I think it's just humanism, because it's what everyone should be doing. It shouldn't be something extra that you act on. So it was such an enlightening conversation. I'm going to read her book without a doubt. And I don't do IG lives, so I knew I had to do it when they said that she was the one. So yeah.
Thanks, Megan. We'll go to Hugh Hopkins with Sky Sports.
Hi, Nneka. Thanks for talking to us today. Congratulations on your return, and congratulations on also everything that you've achieved in the past year, as in your role on the Players Union. It's been fantastic to watch. Going forward, you spoke a little bit earlier about Renee taking over or joining the Dream ownership. I wonder, has seeing her do that, has that made you consider your goals after basketball? Would you consider a future in ownership as a result of seeing someone go down that path?
I mean, I think she definitely has opened the doors, or opened the minds of players to really consider how they want to be involved moving forward. I never really considered myself as being one of ownership, but definitely someone that can continue to influence women in sport, especially in basketball. I do hope, though, that as we experience, Renee becoming a part of the Atlanta ownership, I do hope that kind of brings attention for others who are clearly in the position and have the resources to own women's sports teams to do so. Whether, and it's not limited to athletes. It can be celebrities and luminaries in their fields. I look forward to mostly female ownership in women's sports leagues, and I know that there's a lot of amazingly phenomenal women out there with the means who can do that, most of which who are in places like Atlanta and even Los Angeles, New York, and so I'm hoping that I can contribute to that type of model of ownership in the WNBA and maybe even in other sports.
Thanks. Time for just a few more today. We'll go over to Rico Cabrera with East LA Sports. There, Rico?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we're good now. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Buenas tardes, mi amiga. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias.
Un placer en verte. Felicitaciones. And I'll just say a few words in Spanish, because your fans out of East LA love your decision, just love you to death. You know that. And your sister as well. The Sister Act coming back, great to know that. And first of all, just quickly, Nneka, for your family, the recent disaster in Texas, your call out from family, tell us a little bit about that. Was it very, very, as they would say, very concerned for your family and friends?
Yeah, you're talking in terms of the winter storm, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was concerning for family, friends, and for people that I did not know. It's quite appalling to learn so much about, a system in a state that claims to be so powerful. I'm very proud of where I'm from, but I was not proud of how that was handled. And also to know that it could have been prevented is really problematic. And there are people that are now living and still dealing with the damage done due to neglect. And quite frankly, I could not imagine taking a vacation during a time like that when my people were in need. And so I'm hoping that things will change. And I can't stress enough why it is important for us to not just vote for president.
Thanks, Rico. Go over to Pepper Pursley with the next.
Hi, Nneka. Congrats on the contract, and I love your hoodie. The impact of the WNBA's advocacy last season has been felt all across the country. What are the WNBA's next steps in terms of social activism, and how do you maintain that momentum?
Excellent question. So, as I always like to say, our movement always kind of finds its moment, or it finds us. And as we're coming off of such a historical season in 2020, in which we dedicated to Say Her Name and for Black Lives Matter awareness, we're kind of channeling that also into the disparities that we spoke about in Black and Brown communities and against women as well. We're channeling that into education and awareness on health, especially concerning the COVID vaccine, the pandemic, and the healthcare resources available for marginalized groups. And so we've been actually having a lot of amazing COVID and vaccine education sessions amongst our players, hopefully, which will lead to campaigns we can be a part of, but most importantly, having that education lead to resources available for players to also be able to make that decision for themselves. So that's kind of what we've been on right now. And I'm learning a lot. And I'm hoping that as we see how things kind of evolve with the vaccine and its effects on the pandemic and the life that we knew before, I'm hoping that we can be a part of continuing to get educated and aligning with experts and scientists that can really help us make informed decisions and lead people to resources.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Pepper. We have just time for one more today and appreciate everyone in attendance, but we'll circle back to Brady Klopfer with SB Nation for the final question.
Nneka, I just wanted to revisit your role on the team a tiny bit. You had mentioned, players that fit with what Fisher's wanting to do. And with this being your first year in the WNBA where you're not playing alongside Candace Parker, who is such a unique offensive player in the game, have you and Fisher talked about what your role is going to be and what the offense is going to look like now, presumably with less playmaking from the interior, but some more unique options and more shooting potentially?
No, we haven't really discussed. I mean, to be honest, like the conversation hasn't really changed with the composition of our team being so new. It's obvious that there's huge shoes to be filled. But I'm so much a team player, and I always feel as though I try my best to fit in where I can, and to be as impactful as I can where I can be. And I think that Fish certainly hasn't wavered from what he's brought to the team 2 years ago. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that will continue to evolve with us obviously having this restructure. And I want to reiterate, as I said before, it's not as though we have better players for a new system. I can just see what he's trying to do with what we've been with the situation we've been presented with, and that also comes with focusing on what we have, and being respectful and celebratory of people making decisions on their own to go to where they want to go, and I think that it's certainly not about certain people not being around, and much more of a focus on what the Sparks got, the moves that we're making, the additions that we have made, and us being able to play in the style that he wants to play, which includes versatility, which contributes to playmaking across the board, despite the different types of players that we have. So I hope that answers your question. The style will obviously be different when CP isn't there, But I think that there's also a lot to look forward to.